is up, guys? Evergreen Fly Guy. I'm back. We're gonna do another fly, and I don't even know what we're gonna name this fly until we get up to probably posting it, because it's kind of unique. This is also my first video I'm about to be doing in 4K. I have room for it on my card. I've just never done it. I have like 3 hours worth of 4K recording I can do, and sorry, tongue twister there. I can do. So we're gonna try a 4K one out on the fly and see if it comes out better than our normal ones, or if it's worth doing all the flies in 4K. Because I don't mind doing it. I usually delete footage or save it on my computer after I record anyway, so it's no big deal. So we have the space for it. Might as well try it. So let me show you what we're gonna be doing. So, sorry, there we go. Focus right there. We have some jig heads in size, what is this? Oh, 1/32. So these are, they're kind of big. I guess you could use them with trout, but I'm more, what I plan on is more of like a smallmouth bass to largemouth bass, or some panfish or something. Here's a couple that I already did, so this is why I said there's not going to be a name, because I don't even know what I'm going to do out of them. I just bought them and thought, oh, we'll tie them to something cool. So I love doing pinks. So I have some that's basically just a pink marabou tail with some pink chenille in the middle, and then a pink marabou collar. Or, yeah, kind of a collar, but it's also has some red sparkle dubbing for the collar on there as well. And then I did one in like a white and silver variety. This is a craft fur tail, and the body is white dubbing with some rainbow silver-ish ribbon, and the collar is just some mallard feather wrapped around to make a little bit of a collar. I was just kind of messing around. So I'm gonna take some stuff that I liked out of the both of those two for this guy, but you'll see it all when I get back, guys. So let me put the camera down, stop it, get everything set up, and we'll mess around here and experiment and find something good. All right, guys, let's get back into it. So actually could not do the recording in 4K because it will not let you zoom on 4K, and if I didn't do the zoom, you guys will not be able to see the fly as good, and I'd prefer you see the fly up close and better than at a distance and a little bit better quality. So we'll just do the intro and probably the outro in 4K, and we'll save this for the 1080 for this. So the only thing I'm doing right now is I got some white, I think it's like 150 thread here, and I'm just making a body all the way down. There we go. Twist back up, give it a little more, and then back down one more time. I'm gonna try to watch that tip. If you can't hear me, I'm hitting it. It's a great way to cut your thread. Whew. Slip off my tag there. Now I'm gonna take some of this tan marabou that I was using for the swimmy jimmies. Since I'm at a pause for them because I've ran out of beads, so I got like 4 of those right now made up. I'm gonna do more. I really like them, but I was trying to get some of this marabou out of there without grabbing too much. But only one loose piece was, of course, at the bottom. Isn't that how it always goes? Now I'm gonna trim back on this a little bit, and I'm gonna lose some baby fibers whenever I do that. It's not a huge issue. This is just a tail, so it doesn't need to be super thick. So now I'm going to take this tail, I'm going to lay it on top of the hook shank, and I'm just going to tie down. I'm going to keep the focus to that stem. I'm going to keep it up on the hook shank. I'll keep all these fibers pulled back as best as possible to reduce little fibers sticking out of the side of your thread like that. The more we wrap and stuff, the more it'll get covered up, so it's not a big deal if you leave a lot. And I'm just going back to the end where I set my thread bed at, which isn't too much farther back. There we go, right in here. Okay, there's my tail. And I'm going to bring myself back one more time because I'm going to need to be back here. There we go. Alright, now at this point I need to decide if I want to do another dubbing body, if I want to do a chenille body, or something else. Now, I've done the dubbing body with the ribbed ribbon, and that wasn't bad, and I've done the chenille body. So the thing is, I don't have any chenille that actually matches the tan. So I think I have something that yes, okay. Alright, I'm having ideas. It's all coming together now. Patient with me for just a second, guys. Alright. Grab this out. So, first, I'm going to take a strand of this copper wire and pull it out and tie it in. And then we're going to make a body out of this ice stub olive brown sparkle. Looks awesome. So I'm going to take I'm going to say about, what is this, about probably like 8 inches of this. You don't need that much. I always pull out extra just in case anything happens, because you're just cutting it off and then you can reuse it later. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stick this up here at the base of the head. Get a hold of it real good. You could tie that in on the bottom if you wanted to help even it out. Actually, I think I will do that. I think I'm going to tie this in at the bottom to keep, because I tied in the stem of that Marabou at the top and kept it on the stem. So to keep a good even portion, it is a little bit harder to tie a piece of wire like this into the bottom, but once you get used to it, it's not that bad. And if you had a rotary vise like this, well, mine isn't exactly a rotary vise, it just happens to turn. You could turn it upside down if you think that would help you and tie it in. I'm just going to do it like this just for the sake of time. I could do it the other way. I think I'd probably prefer to do it the other way, that way I can see the top better, but for now this is fine right down here. Alright, let me work my way all the way back down the bottom and we'll call it okay. Alright, now I'm going to make my dubbing loop for that dubbing. So I got a pretty good sized loop there. I don't know how many inches that is. I probably don't need that much, but I like to go a little bit overboard because in the past I've made a lot of under calculations for dubbing loops. So what I did to get the dubbing loop is I just made a loop with my bobbin and I crossed my thread over to lock it in place. Now I'm going to leave my thread up here at the jig head and push it off to the side. So at this point you need to watch your loop, because your loop will twist up on you and it's just annoying to get out. Actually, the last one I did and I had to do the dubbing loop, I wound up having to cut the loop out and make a new one because it was so twisted up and I couldn't get it untwisted. And you know what? I want to do something else before I get into the dubbing loop. So let me cut this off, guys. And if you have to do something like that, it's fine too, because the way you locked it in, your thread's okay. So I'm going to work my way back here. So this is like, I like to do the flight ahead of time and know how I'm going to do it. But I was like, you know what, it might be interesting to see me do it like at random with my thinking of how stuff will work and stuff. So it might be a bit of a longer video because of that, but I think it would be cool to watch. So I got some pearl flash here that I'm about to throw in the tail. So that's why I backed up, because I love using flash in the tails because it's so cool to watch it in the water. Not to mention it helps get bites. I caught my personal best off of a green beadhead woolly booger, personal best largemouth, with a green beadhead woolly booger with some flash in its tail. And I swear it was the flash that did it. Now I'm going to take, I just tied these in, now I'm going to take one to each side and I'm going to crank it in. And I like to go ahead and trim my my tail back as I put them in place. Some people say weight doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, just a personal preference to me. I like to cut the tails while I have them in my hand. tie that one to the side like that, and then I'm gonna leave that back down there. Trim that one. And I just set the tails to they're the length of the tail of this tan marabou here. I got a straggler. Just a second. Alright, now everybody's even. Alright, I'm going to stretch out my my thread here and get ready to make that dubbing body again. Alright, now I go over, pull down on my thread, crank it back down to tie it in, crank it up and get it out of the way. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get my sparkly brown dubbing here. I'm just going to pull a chunk. Like, you're not going to use all this, but I'm just pulling out a chunk. And I take them and I break them apart like this. Some people will break them apart and then pinch them apart even more to get them even thinner. But I just pull them apart and do the stack because I don't really want to go too crazy with it. And I got quite a bit here, so I'm just going to pull a couple little single stacks like that out at a time and feed it into this loop. But just as I feared, it twisted up on us. So I'm going to untwist this real quick and then we'll get the dubbing loop started. Finally, I know we backed up and had to backtrack to get to do the flash, but I always love flashing the tail. I really think it really makes a fly. It's just the little details like that. And I'm just feeding this in a little bit at a time. You can put your dubbing spinner on the bottom to help hold weight there and help stick this into place a little better. And I'd recommend you do that. I don't have the best. This is actually what I've been using as a dubbing spinner, and it's actually more of a fly grabber for your like bigger fly boxes and stuff. But it works as a dubbing spinner, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm just spinning the, what you can't see is I'm just spinning the string down here at the bottom with the dubbing spinner. And this is just going to turn it into a bit of a rope, but it's going to be a loose rope. So I could have went through here very, very tight with I could have put it on my string and tied it in like that along the string like you normally would do with dubbing. But because this is such a bigger body, I can actually use like unique things like the dubbing loop to make a more bulkier body to it. So let me get that going. Yeah, so like I said, if you had an actual dubbing spinner instead of something like this that's not as heavy, you could probably spin this up pretty quick. It'd be good to go. I'm having to sit here and turn it for a while because I'm looking for something in between. I'm looking for something in between, still kind of tight, but also kind of loose. I'm going to go through and tighten up some spots here with my hand manually. You don't need to do this if yours spins up real good. I'm looking for something basically just like that. Kind of tight, but kind of loose. That's how I like to describe it. Oh, before we get messed up, let me take this back out because I forgot to set my thread. Or I guess I did set it up there at the head. It just got in the way still. Alright, out of the way there, thread. Thank you. Make sure all this is all still tight. Alright, and now we're just going to wrap. We'll watch that hook. Watch your other thread. That hook's going to catch me every time, man. And I'm spinning around. Oof. Yeah, so this happens a lot to me actually because the loop gets so tight that'll snap. So if you're lucky, you can catch the end of the loop where it's still string, and you can just grab the end of your dubbing string like that, and you can just manually take and twist it up the shank without using the dubbing loop or your dubbing puller thing, twister. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just taking it up the shank myself. Alright. There's plenty of room to hide that up there at the head, the little excess we had. And now I'm going to take my string and I'm going to cut it off up here at the head. Got dubbing all over me on this angle. Alright, now I'm going to take this little excess bit right here, and I'm just going to trim it off. Alright, so you kind of see we're still a little crazy up here with our dubbing, but we're also pretty neat. So now I'm going to take my copper wire I tied in earlier, and this is the time when we're going to tie it in. And I'm going to do a couple wraps around here at the base of it, and then, you know, keep them spaced out, but don't do them too tight either, or too far away. Now, because it already has brown flash in it, the copper's a little bit hard to see, but the copper's also there to rib in this dubbing a little more and keep it firm, so you're not losing it, because dubbing is not the most durable material, but it's not weak either. Alright, now I just cut that, I cut the wire off up there with the thread. Now you can take some old scissors like what I'm about to do and cut it off, or you could helicopter it off. Either way, you're going to get it off. So now we have our flash tail, we have our dubbing body, but we're still looking a little bald. So at this point, I want to do a collar. Now, what would be the best collar? I could do a Peacock herl type collar up top. I could do a dubbing collar up top of a different type of collar. I could do a feather leaning back, and then I could do some more dubbing on top of it. I'm kind of leaning toward the Peacock herl, but I'm also a little skeptical of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a Peacock herl out of my Peacock stuff here, and I need a good sized one. If I can get them out here, we can get moving. Short. Here's a good long one. So now I'm going to take this and I'm just going to test it, see how it looks. I'm going to take and wrap up here. Okay. Well, I like it, but I don't know if it's it. So, what I have in mind, I think I'm going to take another one of these mallard flanks, and I'm going to make a feather collar, but I'm also going to use the Peacock to top it off. I think that would look good. If not, I can always use a dubbing that I think would look good. So I'm right now debating the best way to do this, to tie this in. So you could, of course, tie it in like this and space it around it, or you could do the tie in and drag it around, which I tend to have better luck out of the tie in and drag around, even though I think it costs a little more room in the long run. So for this, I'm just going to use basically a tip of a flank, a decently sized one, and I come back here and I tie it in behind the jig head, of course. So I got a little bit of a stem left up here, but that's really not going to be that big of a deal. I'm going to space out this feather so it's kind of weird and sprawled out, scraggly looking here. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to try to get it in my fingers and wrap it around. It may just be a hair too short, or it might work. Let me see here. We're running out of room to see. Okay, well, it seems like it's a little too big for what I was trying to do with it there. So let me go the alternate route and do the little head encase thing over here. And this one can be a little bit tricky too. So once you get that tied around like that, okay, hold on. I might have to do a little. Alright guys, that has been what I'm gonna dub the Muddy Peacock. Muddy Peacock olive. We'll call it Muddy Peacock. The Muddy Peacock in a jig head. On a plated jig head. This is Cabella's plated jig head in size. What was it, like 1/16 or 1/32? 1/32. Yeah, that's a weird one. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. My next video, which I'm gonna do right after this, and they'll probably be posted at the same time, is gonna be, I think, the elk hircatus. I'm working on the list I previously mentioned. I think of the top 25 most successful flies of like fly fishing history. So I figured people would probably enjoy to see those. I have a few already up, like a Prince style nymph, and of course the cloister minnow, and I think another one. I'm not too sure. I'll have to go back and look. But thanks for watching, guys. Go out there and catch some big fish.